But there's a little bit of imperative to this match. I'll talk about that more here in just a second. For now, spawning in the northern location on Polar Night to be the Terran player spawning red from Love Your Girlfriend. Give it up for Tassadar. And his opponent in the lower. Whoa, hang on. The brackets didn't update. The brackets should have updated. Hang on. Brackets? I swear I updated those. There we go. Didn't update the other one. If someone could do that for me, I'd love you forever, mods. Anyways, in the lower location of the map from the team IVD Gaming, Ivy Drip, it's going to be the blue Protoss player Puck. Now, there's a chance Cmotok may be the only Love Your Girlfriend player left in the tournament at this point, which is a little bit scary to consider. Neige got knocked out round 1 by Puck. Jon Snow just took out Tassadar 2-0, which is really, in my opinion, like, whoa, what? And currently, Stun versus Select is 1-1 at the time of casting this match. So, there's a very large potential Cmotok may be the last Love Your Girlfriend player in this, and he kind of expressed that sentiment before he got into the game. And Puck, being the good guy that he is, said, maybe I'll let you in. 1% chance, easy peasy. And we'll see if Cmotok can capitalize on that or not. Now, again, I did kind of mention in the very first series, Puck is a player who I think he's really driven by his emotions when it comes to StarCraft 2. Like, when he is in a good mood, he is on a roll and nobody can stop him. But if he gets down on himself too hard after a loss, you can really see it affect, you know, games that follow it. This is a fresh series that he just came off of a win in round 1. We'll see if round 2 he can keep a cool, calm head coming into this one, because again, Cmotok is a player who's I don't know much about Neige, and I do apologize for that, but Cmotok is a player who's actually really good. And is someone who will give Puck a run for his money. And my fear is that if Cmotok takes a quick victory in game number 1, it might unsettle Puck for game 2 and kind of let Cmotok sweep this out. But that being said, Puck is a fantastic player who, again, if he just stays in a really positive mindset, will absolutely kick some ass today. Now, it's worth noting, too, if you've just tuned in, this is a best of 3 in the semifinals, and we'll be casting the other semifinals match afterwards. So, Jon Snow versus the winner of Select versus Stun. But we're going to cast this one out first. That way we get all the matches from today ready to rock and roll. I'm coming across the map with the SCV. Cmotok actually doesn't scout a whole lot right now, but the biggest thing is what he doesn't scout. And what he doesn't scout is like some weird third pylon being hidden around the map. The second pylon being hidden around the map. He sees 2 in base, which is a really big deal. If there's proxies. If he didn't stick around for that third one, he might come back in later, so he didn't actually open with the Reaper. That's actually going to really delay his scouting information. If he just blindly goes for the quicker Widowmine opening here, it's not bad per se, but Puck just has to recognize that he can't go like for a 4-gate and he'll be good to go. Because the worst thing in the world, of course, for a Protoss player is getting detection up is not an easy thing. If your Widowmine dropped, 2 Widowmines, 4 Marines, or hell, you just have like some weird proxy come across the map, which it's not, but because it's going to be a drop this time, if you get those Widowmines in the mineral lines and there's no robotics facility, no forge, and no cannons available, you're pretty much just going to lose that game. Actually, I take that back. There's some players with really good control who can mic around it no problem, but whoa, hang on. With this tech lab coming out, I'm really curious what Cmotok's doing here. I mean, it's got to be a medevac start, is what I imagine, because he's going for the Widowmines, right? Unless this Widowmine's purely defensive and he goes for like a Cloak Banshee, but even then, that makes less sense because I've not seen anyone really do this. To date, Tasia is literally the only person I've seen make like Banshee anything work versus Protoss. He did Tank Banshee actually here on Polar Night during the Acer Team Story Cup Season 2, and I'll never forget that game because he did what I was begging people to do for the longest time, where he used the area behind the natural base to just siege up those tanks and shell away the probe line. But with Cloaked Banshee's opening here, this is going to be a little bit not good. Now, because Puck's actually opting to go for the Stargate, chances are he's opening with an Oracle. And if he does an Oracle, that's fine. If he goes across the map and dies to the Widowmine and the Marines, Puck's actually going to be in a lot of trouble. But if he keeps it alive at home, a Stalker paired up with the detection, the Envision ability that the Oracle provides, shuts this Banshee down, and it's really not that big of a deal. I don't know. This can do damage. Cmotok's got a strong opening here, because this is not an opening you expect PvT. Like, for a Protoss player, the last thing you really expect are Cloaked Banshees, because they're inefficient and not the best. But for Puck, whether it's getting a Phoenix out, whether it's getting another Oracle, either way, he can cover his bases pretty easily with that Stargate. For those who don't know, Banshees are classified as light units. They are not armored, so Phoenixes do the double damage versus them. Very easy to shut down a Banshee if you can catch it, but of course, the hardest thing for Puck is going to be getting that detection out, finding the Banshee, and not only just finding, but physically seeing the Banshee. But I think the second Oracle is going to time out pretty perfectly here to provide that Envision. There are currently 2 Stalkers out. Where are these buggers? Yeah, here we go. So being driven back from the natural, gonna lose a couple more probes. Puck taking about 4 losses so far. Tries to get to the mineral lines of Cmotok, but Cmotok with 6 Marines is actually capable of pushing this backwards. Bit of an odd thing to see. Banshee is just kind of hovering here for the time being. It cannot take Stalkers on in a head-on fight, and you know, it goes for the cloak anyways, despite the fact the Oracle is riding its butt. Envision, by the way, guys, it lasts, the detection from it lasts about as long as the cool, or the, sorry, let me try that again. The duration on Envision is that the same as the cost in which the energy has to regen. So after about like 40 or whatever in-game seconds it is for 50 energy to generate, you'll be able to Envision again. So you can endlessly detect, is my point. But with the Phoenix coming out, shuts that Banshee down outright. Second Banshee coming in, it's not really going to get a lot done. This was kind of an A for effort move here out of Cmotok. If he got Puck off guard, like if Puck had opened with like pretty much any other build, this wouldn't have gone so easy for Puck to defend against, but because he had the Oracle, he had detection. Because he had the Stargate, he could easily invest in 1 Phoenix. And I guess the upside to this is, it means he's not going to be moving across the map anytime soon. Phoenixes and Oracles are not exactly the cheapest units when it comes to gas, and Cmotok has made a couple tanks behind this. Combined with the Widow Mines, should be able to keep Stalkers back. But more importantly than that, he'll have a Raven, which is a weird thing to consider to see, but what a Raven's going to allow him to do is put a point defense drone down. And pretty much every Protoss unit in the game has a projectile attack. A point defense drone will nullify that projectile attack, making it so you can hold the line or push a little bit more easily. I think Sentries, Zealots, and Immortals, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know if there's anything else without a projectile attack. I guess Archons, but that's not like, you're not really using point defense turns against Archons anyway. If you do, good luck to you. I don't know what advantage you would possibly get out of it, but Cmotok looks like he's going to be pretty well defended for now. He's got the turrets up, so chases off the Oracles. Really not a lot getting done. Even a Viking's out as well. For Terran players, it's a little bit difficult to secure a third versus aggressive Protoss on Polar Knights. So what sometimes, actually we've been seeing a lot of people do nowadays, especially in the weekly cups, is try and take this more back base, something that's often been ignored. But the problem in doing so is, again, you still find yourself somewhat exposed, whether it's from the south, the east, or the west over here. But this is a curious medevac. It's got 1 Marine in it. I'm not sure what the intention of this 1 medevac is, unless it's a misclick. But I guess the nice thing is there's nothing that can really kill it. The Oracles can't shoot up, and the Observer's not going to do a lot. There was a Phoenix somewhere on the map. I don't know where that guy went. But, you know, Puck's put up a couple pylons for now. We're going to try and get some pylons up to go around the map. Tanks are a bit fickle here. It's kind of ironic. We have that 1 Phoenix that's not going to really do a lot of air damage. But what it can do is Graviton beam up one of the tanks. 2 Oracles are going to get in here and try and do a bit of damage. Looks like the production here of Cmotok just barely not enough to chase it off. The Viking should be, though. And the Raven is coming up a little bit behind, but still with this army. So, again, the biggest thing is projectiles. The Photon Overcharge is a projectile. Stalker damage is a projectile. You can throw one down and nullify both of those for about a good 40 shots or so, depending on how much gets hit during the energy duration of the point defense drone. Widow Mine's going to do a nice little bit of damage here as it tries to pick off some Zealots. Tanks are going to try and siege up, and Marines are just going to try and protect the tanks. And there's the point defense drone as predicted. So, again, going to nullify the Nexus Cannon, but only for a limited amount of time until that energy runs out, which will be actually very soon. There's the Graviton beam I was talking about, and now without any extra tank fire, doesn't have the damage to push into this. Puck will deflect this rather easily. Cmotok pushing out of timing before Stim was ready, but he gets out with the medevacs, I guess, so he's got that going for him. Not that that's really a consolation prize. Quite frankly, that was terrible for Cmotok. If he had hit at a timing when Puck maybe didn't have Immortals out, that could have gone a little bit better, because Zealots, they still take a lot of damage. But there's Colossus, there's Immortals. Puck's got +1 weapons over his opponent, and Cmotok doesn't really have a lot of... I don't know, he's got no weapon upgrades. His Stim isn't finished up yet. It's actually going to be a little bit while before it finishes, because of course Stim is like one of the longest researching abilities that Terran players have to them. He's certainly not going to have the Viking count to deal with the Colossus, so going to have to rely on spreading his units out. Tanks are kind of cool to have, but their cooldown on their attacks is way too long to be effective against Colossus, especially with the setup time. Pylon is going to be placed right outside the base here, Motok's third. Fortunately, there's nothing Cmotok can really do to defend this if Puck attacks. For Cmotok at the moment, it's kind of a buying time. Like, he's not scared of an impending attack from Puck. Ooh, nicely picks up one of the Oracles. Well, I shouldn't say. It's more like Puck's mistake rather than Cmotok's victory there. But he doesn't really have a lot to deal with a whole attack. He needs to build up his army. He needs to get his tech up. He needs to get more Vikings out. He needs to just buy himself a little bit of time. Because right now, if he fights in a choke and Puck moves in, I don't know that Cmotok can really take that fight. There's too many Zealots here to buffer for the Colossus. That Colossus isn't going to be touched for a long time. And already evacuating this base with a couple SCVs and mules. I imagine this will probably be lifted up, and the bunker's probably going to get canceled here. So that's not going to finish anytime soon. Fully aware of what his opponent's doing, though. We do have the Widowmine going to try and go off on the sentry. Gets one sentry, the other one gets the other sentry. So no force fields, and more importantly, no guardian shields. SCVs have been pulled into this to draw some of the fire, but the splash damage from the Archon combined with the Colossus will take care of these rather quickly. However, wrapping around from the left side, some Marauders and Marines try and get on top of the Colossus, but the Zealots are a little too much, and looks like Puck is going to take this fight. Lifting up what little he has to retain, pulls back towards the main, but Cmotok just lost a lot of SCVs in that engagement. 40 are dead total in this game, and looks like this is not going to go too well for our Terran player. Has to give up his natural base fully and entirely. Third base was lifted as well. Not a lot of mining going on right now, not a lot of production in general, and no way to really engage on top of these Colossus. He could try dropping on top of them, but the Immortals are going to take out the Marauders as they land. They're not really going to get much damage done. I don't know what the Science Vessel can really do. It can put out a Seeker Missile, but that's going to tickle these units at best. A Point Defensor might be his best friend in this scenario, but yeah, it puts one down. I feel for Cmotok right now. This is going to be a little bit rough to deal with, but Puck pushing in quite strong here. He was left kind of uncontested for a long time, and Cmotok went for a really cool opener. But you guys got to remember, like, while this kind of looks like Puck just A-moved and won, you got to remember, everything that Cmotok opened this game with failed utterly and entirely. The siege tanks, the Vikings, or sorry, not the Vikings, the Banshees rather, that Raven push outside the Nexus, like, none of that worked out for Cmotok, and because Puck held each of those off rather one-handedly, or one-sidedly, defendedly, one hand, I don't know, whatever phrase I'm reaching for here. The point is, he held rather nicely, and because of this, he was able to just spiral and take a big fight to the other side of the map. Now, he has let up for a moment. He's backed off for the time being because he doesn't really know what Cmotok's got, and this is actually giving Cmotok a bit of opportunity to try and maneuver around the map, come here towards this third base and take it down. Puck actually doesn't have a recall available, so responding to this will not be easy. Units being warped in are going to be picked off as they warp in, so unfortunately he's not going to have that bulk of like 40 Zealots to kill this army, and trying to tear through the gateways right now. Mothership Core is going to come here to try and overcharge. Overcharge on the Nexus will go down. I don't know if this will completely deflect this, but will do a lot of damage for sure. On the other side of the map, Puck's saying, alright, if you've got 2 full medevacs in my base, you're going to have even less in yours. And he pushes forward. Supply depots are going to be focused down. Zealots have already connected to a lot of this army, and with the supply being what it is, almost 1/3 that of Puck's, this is looking to be Puck's game here. Cmotok pulls his last couple SCVs out of desperation. Marauders are kiting. If you're a Terran player, you've been in this situation before. You're just like, no, no, I refuse until the last man. But good game is going to be called, and Puck will take game number 1 in this semifinal.